Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode. We're coming to you from Jeddah, only our second race of our career in the Haas team. Had an okay result out in Bahrain, getting a feel for it. Of course, this, as of the recording time, still on the old handling patch. I can say the new handling patch shows up in Imola for us. Imola? Yeah, I think it's Imola where that shows up. So we will have a few more episodes before we get to the new handling patch, which I will say has fixed a couple of the issues. ERS still an issue. We have another patch, I think, due next week as of the time of voice recording. But we did manage to finish ahead of our teammate in Bahrain, so kind of even Stevens when it comes to driver rivalry and getting up the stats. So let's get ready to take a look, and we'll check through some of our developments, what we're doing with the engine components as we move forward. So let's take a look at the messages. Of course, expectations, weekend preview. We don't expect too much rain to be coming in. Of course, have a few goals that we've already achieved in the practice sessions. You can see development-wise, still at the bottom of the vehicle performance. Nothing new for any of us. And now we're going to switch back to the original components. Of course, the way I typically run it is I will keep a component as race available up till it gets to about 50% of its overall wear, in which case it starts to drop off, and then it becomes a practice component, which I will use up until about 75% because then it becomes a bit of a failure worry. But let's head on over into our first runs of qualifying.
Welcome to Jeddah Corniche, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar, but let's see who will be the fastest of them all. It's time to set the grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yes, it's time for qualifying.
So here we are on the circuit getting ready for our first laps, and I will say this track, probably one of the ones that showcased the weirdness of the handling model the best. We do have an Alpine all over our gearbox, and we aren't expecting to be too quick in qualifying, but down into turn one, just about the 100-meter board, get on the brakes into turn one, a little bit of rear locking on the way through, trying to get the car rotated through turn two, and on the power again now as we head out to the next little braking zone. 50-meter, turn it in, miss the wall on the inside. Now we can kind of go flat to the floor and let the car rotate its way through. See on the soft tires, tons of grip available through here, just a little lift, and you can really just kind of pelt it and just turn, and the car will turn with the way the handling model is. A little too much front grip at the moment, but now we head down to the first hairpin, and through the corner we go. Nice banking there. We can get on the throttle nice and early, run it out to the wall, try and carry some speed, and into probably one of the more tricky corners of the circuit. Brake, get very close to the wall, and then try and avoid that high raised curb. You can kind of high center the car on it if you take too much of that curb. Now we're on to the first of the DRS zones. Of course, there's one across the start-finish straight. Another tricky combo of corners. You have to get just about right, pitch it in, and again, just miss the wall on the inside. Now, full throttle for quite some time. Once we get to this left-hander, open up the DRS another time. And away we go. Just getting close to the end of the lap now. Fernando Alonso goes first, and we wait late, just a bit after the about 75 meters or so on the brakes, and then we open up the DRS for one final time. We'll streak to the start-finish line. We managed to get some temperature into the tires, but there we go, 29.907, which puts us provisionally above Albon and Ocon. Of course, we were kind of holding up the Alpine. Ocon was behind us for that lap. So jumping back out at the end of the session now, we've dropped to P13, which is honestly a lot better than I expected to do in qualifying around here, but it is a track that the AI doesn't handle quite as well, and we can kind of abuse the cornering characteristics of the handling model. You'll see me throw on a lot of lock, and of course, a big snap of oversteer, though, trying to get on the power out of turn two has lost us a decent chunk of time, but track is rubbered up a little bit more in the last 5 minutes of the qualifying session, so let's see if we can find some time elsewhere around the circuit. Keeping the foot in a little more through that corner gains us some time, and just carrying speed all the way out, straddling that curb. Was able to straddle that one without fully high centering the car, which was nice. Now down into the banked hairpin, see if we can't get on the throttle a little early. We actually are not quite as good. Lose a bit of time. It's about a 1/10 of a second improvement so far through the first sector and change, and see if we can find a little more time. And no, we've actually lost even just a little bit. So another 1/2 lost, but still a few corners left to go that require some good navigation and braking. So let's see if we can't handle, especially this left-hander here. We've dropped down to 14th now as the rest of the field has crossed line. A little grazing of the wall there, just some tire wall contact, but somehow we managed to actually improve by taking it right up to the limits. But found a little time, need to just carry it through the final corner. A little slower on entry, but to get a better exit. You can see gaining time all the way. But we are losing. We actually used too much deployment. We find about a 10th in our last run.
Qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid line up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. It's still new to Formula One, but it has fast, sweeping corners, already making it a favourite. Welcome to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at a topographical map of the Jeddah Street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Leclerc, Hamilton, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Stroll, Bottas, Joe, Oldtimer, Ocon, Gasly, Sargent, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me is Anthony Davidson. Well, they say you're only as good as your last race. And on evidence there, that was very good indeed. How do they carry that form through to today?
You've done it once, can you do it again? But, you know, if you start believing in yourself and the confidence starts to build, that inner confidence is what you need. And you can carry that through to future races, including this one, and you set that ball rolling. That's the critical thing that they're looking for here. And I believe if you've got that first race win or a win at any stage, it can start to roll with you in a good way.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
All right, let's take a look at the strategy. It wants us to do a soft medium based on our practice format. So I'm taking a look at the medium soft, the reverse pit strategy, see if it's viable. I do think though that it's going to be a tough track on the tires, and I'm still a little unsure of how well the tire wear is going to behave on this Haas car. So we are going to go with the medium onto hard strategy. So not the reverse strategy, stay same, but here are the 5 red lights. A little slow on the reaction time. You can see the Sauber car on the right of Joe getting away a little better. We're going to have a look to the inside turn 1, just kind of back, sending it up the outside of us is one of the Alpines. We're out on the outside 3 wide, so swinging very wide, trying to leave some space. And this is another circuit where lap time was found in having quite a bit of downforce, but the AI doesn't apparently need that much downforce. So they're very quick in a straight line. You can see the Alpines scrapping away behind us. So we're just going to try to settle in. And as we kind of learned with our first race in Bahrain, not try and make too many waves, and just try and tuck in and make sure we're connected to a group. It looks like there's a 3-wide sandwich going on, the 2 McLarens and the Aston. So on the track map, there's already quite a gap being created between them and the next batch. And realistically, our hope of points in the current car relies on what the cars ahead of us do in this opening stage. So we're sitting 14th, and we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 cars ahead of us. So there are still points on offer, and you see we're doing a bit of lift and coast already, and a little bit of contact as they go pretty slowly the first time through. But you can see just the time that they're about to find. We were on overtake there, but you can see just how quick the AI is in a straight line, kind of fanning out. We're just settling in, not trying to get too many extra separations created between the group in front of us and the group in front of them. And we finished lap 1 right where we started. Pretty clean run so far, but down into turn 1, big lift and coast. We're going to have a good opportunity kind of stick it up the inside of Joe at turn 2. Let's see if we can carry that speed, kind of pinch him towards the wall, headed towards turn 4, I believe. I believe turn 3 is the little right or left kink coming out of turn 2. But we do manage to get the position, and now it's going to be very critically important to stay within DRS of Valtteri Bottas. We should be able to, considering the cornering speed advantage that we tend to have over the AI with the downforce levels that we're carrying. And yeah, you can see 0.7, so we've managed to pick off a car, move ourselves to P13 now on the second lap of the race, and not disrupt the train too much. It looks to be still, according to the track map, a clean train all the way up to a second Aston Martin. So there's an Aston in front of us. It looks like a Williams potentially up there, making their presence felt. But here we are through the DRS zones now, the first time of asking, as they, again, 2024, DRS is enabled on lap 2 instead of lap 3 after both race starts and safety cars. But you can see the speed in the straight line that the AI is going to carry, and it's going to be a pretty regular occurrence. We can top out just about 199 without burning extra battery, but we do want to make sure that we have battery available to us throughout the course of the lap, and we do need to burn some coming down the pit straight just to make sure we hang in close. So 33.7 makes for our best lap of the race, our first real flying lap. A little bit of a lockup into turn 1, but no real big harm done. That front left tire, I think, takes slightly less harm than the front right because of like the hairpins at either end of the circuit. But it is a fairly front-limited track. You lean on the front tires a fair bit around here, and now it's just a matter of hanging with this group, recharging the battery as much as we can. I mean, you can see based on that red bar, we charge most of the battery by the end of Sector 1 and are pretty much only doing MGU-H recovery the rest of the way. But unlike my game plans in F1 23, which was get to the front of the pack as quick as possible and try and make a gap to bridge it, currently in F1 24, a lot harder to bridge that gap, and it's harder to maintain position without DRS. DRS is quite powerful in the 24 game, so these DRS trains do form, but with intelligent use of battery deployment, you can manage to keep some cars down and straight. You can see already, though, Joe making a move to the inside at the final corner. We're going to leave him the space. It's not a big deal to have him alongside us. He's going to pull right up next to us. So it's going to be a bit of a drag race down to turn 1. DRS open. We're burning battery, and we're burning well low on battery, but we do manage to pull just ahead, and the group ahead of us is starting to fan out and get interested in each other a bit. So maybe we'll have an opportunity to improve our position. You can see the train stretches all the way to the back behind us as well. But we're going to see, with the pace we typically carry through the sweepers compared to the AI, especially the higher speed ones, maybe a move down into the hairpin is potentially on. The AI, at least at the current stage, seems to be fairly quick on the straights, and very good out of corners, but seems to be a little slower into corners. So here we are, lap 5, jumping ahead. Joe, very close to us. We're just going to kind of let him go through, not really fight any move on him, because we want to just keep this train together to the later stages of the race. There is a little bit of a breakaway, and Aston and McLaren starting to find their way away from the rest of the field, and that is because the Williams and McLaren, you can see just up ahead, fighting side by side. So it looks like there may be a small breakaway pack from our group unless we have the opportunity to maybe catch up and close the gap to them. But sweeping through, a decent little over-the-shoulder look. Camera angle gives us a nice one. Take the off-board shot for a little bit, but just all about sticking in the toe and trying to maintain the tires, keep them in a good spot, maintain the battery, make sure we've got enough when we really want to go on an attack to burn a full-out attack. Well, it looks like now the head of the group is indeed the McLaren, and just ahead of that Williams. So they've sorted themselves out there into a nice little train, and we are following just right in the wheel tracks of the car ahead. DRS zone once again, just using enough battery to keep from being challenged into these quick sweepers. Maybe if we can get a good run, we might have a look down the inside or around Joe in front of us. But for the most part, early stages of the race, patience is the name of the game. You can see actually that Alpine closing very close up to the back of us. I didn't use really any battery to defend that time. Probably going to use some battery coming out of the corner to make sure that we aren't under attack into turn one. It's a spot where you can lose a lot of time if you let another car get side by side. But McLaren and Williams once again fighting through turns 1, 2, and 3, but it looks like McLaren again just has higher innate pace than the Williams. Is going to sort out ahead. Jumping ahead now, lap 8 of 25. We've gotten a very good run through the first sector. We're going to have a little bit of a lunge on the inside of Joe, and through we go. And it's actually opened the door for Ocon to sneak through and get past Joe as well. So it was my first test of an overtake in that particular corner. It seems to have gone quite well. If we can get right up to the gearbox of the car ahead, it's a good lunge. It allows us to make the move quite quickly through and not worry about prolonged side-by-side action for a few corners. But jumping ahead again, lap 11 of 25, you can see now Stroll fighting a bit with the Williams. That's allowing the two McLarens to get away. And Fernando Alonso, very slow is Bottas through that set of corners because of the battling in front of them. So right now I'm thinking probably have another move potentially lined up into the hairpin at the end of or the start of sector 2. So we get a very good launch through the sweepers. We're gonna have a take a look, stay in the wheel tracks, pull out at the last second, a big lunge up the inside. He leaves us the space. We stay tight to the inside as he's on the outside. But once we see those proximity arrows going to a safe white color there instead of the dangerous red, we're again up into P12. And so this is usually now I'm starting to develop. I want to try and make some moves up the order as we get close to the pit stop phase. Sit in the train for a little while, but once we get ready to go to the pits, make a couple moves, try and see if we can improve the position and have a car that might be pitting on the same lap as us be coming in just behind us instead. And if they have, like we saw in Bahrain, a slow stop for Daniel Ricciardo, if they have a slow stop, then we have an opportunity to jump them. But side by side goes the Williams and Aston into the corner. We managed to defend a fair bit from Guan Yu Zhou, and into the pits we're going to dive. So we weren't able to make any extra positions, but we were able to jump ahead of both Kick Sauber cars. You can see Alpine and I believe that's a Cash App RB in the background as well coming in. So see if we can't have a decent stop. We pull into our pit box. Off come the tires. On go the next ones. And it's a slow stop on the front left, so not good. We have to wait for now the Kick and the RB to get past us. We managed to stay. Looks like the Alpine had a slow stop as well, but not a great opportunity. Not a great body of work from our pit crew, and we've lost a couple of positions here. A couple of seconds, which could make the difference in trying to, at this stage, undercut the other cars around us. Through these sweepers, having to be very ginger with the throttle as the cold tires are not quite gripped up to where they need to be, and you can see a little bit of a gap forming between the Cash App and the Sauber in front of us. So we're going to try and get that gap closed back up, create another train for moving ourselves potentially into the points paying positions. We are at least right on the gearbox of this RB and coming up on a DRS zone. Have a good opportunity to make a move, so we're going to pull to the inside, set ourselves up, And the rear wing flips open, and we're going to go side by side with the RB. We're going to get fully ahead before we hit the next little braking zone into here. It is going to give him the DRS as we come down this next straight.
Okay,
so
Nico's into the pits.
burning a battery. We're down basically empty battery. So we're trying to make it stick, but alas, we used too much battery in this case. So we're going to just tuck right back in behind Yuki Tsunoda there, which is the RB that we were following. Again, apologies for the audio glitching on the car. Not sure what that is. Maybe I'll just implant the off-board kit audio angle,
You're running low on
just so you don't get that
Reminder,
twitchiness. But
play around with
coming
the
out
RS
of the pits is Gasly and Sargent behind us, so we've managed to stay out ahead of that group, but really need to try and attach ourselves to the group with Bottas in it. It's about 1.8 seconds from us, about 1.5 for Yuki in the RB. So important set of corners, and once again we've got a good run on the RB this time. Are we going to go for the lunge? No, we're just going to settle in, not fight, not lose ourselves any time to the cars ahead, get the battery recharged a bit more since we had burned quite a lot of it. And now we are kind of losing gap to those cars ahead. So once again, kind of in the wheel tracks of Yuki. Going to try and go again to the inside. DRS open using tons of battery. We're down to 30%. Let some of it recharge on the MGUH. And now once again, big time burn of the battery. This is where the AI is strongest. So we're really trying to just close the gap as much as we can. But again, battery down to 5%. We have to switch it off, try and recharge again. Re-overtaken by Tsunoda. We're now 2.5 seconds off Bottas, so we're not making the inroads that we need to. DRS open once again. We now have Gasly looking to the inside of us. We're going to try and just tuck in, stay with Tsunoda, not let Gasly get by us. We're going to squeeze him out towards the wall, but he's kind of just about there, but we managed to clear him and make him back out of the corner. I don't want to go side by side too much with other cars because our only hope at points is bridging the gap to this next pack and then slowly working our way through it. So we seem to be making up some time on that pack. It's 1.8 seconds after it was 2.5 at the exit of the final corner of the circuit. So we make up some time in Sector 1, but it's all about that straight line speed, which is why we're staying behind Yuki, trying to use some slipstream, trying to use DRS in order to mitigate our straight line disadvantage to the pack ahead and try and close up again to the inside, going side by side, getting ourselves set up with DRS to try and once again rush forward, close up the gap. You'd think I'd learned my lesson by now, but apparently not. Just done the same thing on like 3 laps. But the pass and repass isn't really costing us any time. We're doing it quite cleanly, and so it is fair to just kind of let it happen. So this time, little overlap with Yuki. We let him have the racing line, but it is going to force us on the wider line. Alpine almost got up the inside of us that time, but we do kind of hold position. We are going to slot in and once again have a look down the front straight, just making sure as there's battle between the Williams and Alpine behind us, gives us a tiny bit of reprieve from that fight. So we are behind Yuki once again. It does look like the gap has closed up to the cars ahead just a little bit, at least by the eyeball test. So maybe we are indeed making up a little bit of the time we need to in order to reattach. We are on tires that are set to go to the end of the race, so we can just kind of press on, and we have gone for the harder compound to make sure. But once again, very close to the back of Yuki. If I was worried at the moment going forward, I would probably send a lunge up into the hairpin like I've done a few times on the Salvers, but we are just going to stay right behind. And that is what I'm learning in F124 so far, is patience is key. Our teammate way at the back, nowhere to be seen just yet. So this time we did out-qualify him in terms of the teammate battle, and it does look like we should be on track for another situation where we're finishing ahead of our teammate. This time I've waited. I've not gone for that first DRS zone pass. I've opted to wait and go for the second DRS zone because you know, it only took me like 4 laps, but I eventually learned my lesson. That is going to put him at pressure of the Alpine. We do chop right across the nose to the inside, and we are going to burn as much battery as we can to try. We won't have DRS down the pit straight, but it's relatively short anyway. We are kind of getting into battery management phase. But this does, this battle we're seeing in front of us, very important. Is going to slow them up, potentially allow us to attach to that train, and we are coming through our best sector as far as in comparison to the AI ahead of us. So this should be one of our best opportunities to try and close up. You can see it's 1.4 the margin now. We've got about 35% battery, but we will still be recharging as we're on through the sweepers and now burning a good chunk of battery, seeing if we can't get up to the group ahead of us before we hit the next DRS zone. We've managed to get within a second, have still some battery to play with, and if we just now need to hold on to this DRS detection distance and a good run through there compared to the AI, and we're now down to half a second at the detection point. So we do have the DRS. We've managed to bridge the gap to the cars ahead. We have actually left Sonoda 1.6 seconds behind us, so a little bit of a breather. In fact, a purple second sector, so a very good run through the first part of the lap for us. Well on track to our best lap of the race, looking to improve on that 133.1. Maybe dip down into the 32s for the first time in the race. So we do lose a bit of time down the back straight, but we still maintain our DRS detection. And we jump ahead. Our best lap time now, you can see 31.909. So we have actually the best lap of the race at the moment. But jumping ahead lap 18, and there's a 3-way fight going on in front of us. So we're going to take the slowed up Lance Stroll, go around the inside outside of him. We go for the switchback, and now it's going to pin him to the inside. Ooh, a little graze of the wall, trying to leave him space, but we managed to tiptoe our way through the left-right chicane there and get ahead without costing ourselves time to the cars ahead. So up into P12 now. We have the eyes on the points. Jumping ahead again, lap 19 of 25 and headed to this hairpin. So just about 1 lap further than what we were. Switching to the inside, going for that big lunge on Valtteri Bottas using that hairpin area. We go a little bit deep, and it does actually force Bottas out wide, and Stroll now having a look at him, but they're going to go side by side, and we have the points paying positions. Alex Albon in front of us. Also, interestingly enough, still carrying fastest lap of the race. So we apparently burned quite a lot of battery on that 1 lap that nobody else has gone for quite the fast lap like that. But we are well in the DRS, a bit deep in that corner, so it's going to cost us a bit of time through there, but grabbing some more DRS, and maybe we can even catch up to the much faster McLaren and try, and it looks like a battle about to happen between Albon and Piastri. Albon just ahead. And it looks like Alonso and Norris kind of well clear of us at this stage. They've formed their own little train well back of the lead pack, well, aside from the Red Bull, which is miles ahead of everybody else. But down into turn 1, we're going to use this opportunity to save a little battery. And Bottas has managed to stay connected to the back of us, but side by side go these two, so we definitely have a McLaren in our sights now, and they're going to be quite slow, leaving space for each other through there. Albon tucks right back into the train. We're going to go ahead, and we've managed to save up quite a lot of battery this time by, which is good. We're going to need it come the end of the race. So only 5 laps, or 6 technically laps left to go in this one. We are 1 position away from the points-paying positions, and looking to just find our opportunity in order to make a move and not get repassed. But we have a very good run through this couple of corners, a very good exit. Now trying to find a little bit of real estate alongside Alex Albon. DRS open, we both have DRS. We're going to try sweeping around the outside, pinch him off. We managed to get to the racing line ahead of the braking zone. And now we're up into the points, and we have an Oscar Piastri in front of us. Our battery, though, very low, so it's going to give Albon a very good opportunity to re-attack us. In fact, he's coming around the outside. We're just going to pin him and essentially keep him stuck in the wheel tracks of Piastri ahead. That's going to give us a better exit to kind of chop the nose on the way out of the final corner. And there we go. We've now got DRS on Oscar Piastri, trying to make a little look down into maybe turn 1. No, we're going to hit the brakes a little early, make sure we get in there nice and clean. Jumping ahead, lap 24 of 25. Lifting and coasting into the final corner, because we don't want to get ahead of Piastri. We did have to kind of defend from Albon a few laps, much like we're doing now. You can see he puts the pressure on us as he's got the DRS. We're going to go ahead and make Piastri go a little defensive. We're going to lift nice and early. Albon's going to have nowhere to go in this situation. So we're going to once again follow in the wheel tracks of the car ahead. We've been able to save a decent chunk of battery, and now it's all about making sure we have the amount of battery we need for the last DRS zone to try and sneak ahead of Oscar Piastri. Make sure he doesn't get too far ahead, though. And see if we can't grab an extra point. I mean, going from 14th to 10th was a pretty good result, but we do have the opportunity for P9 staring down at us at the moment. So there's a good chance that we can have the opportunity to grab an extra 1 point and get our first points of the season. So like before, we're not going to try and overtake him in this DRS zone. We're going to wait for the final DRS zone, and he's already got the rear light blinking on his car. So the AI burning their battery up before the end of the race. Verstappen already across the line, but that should give us a very good opportunity here since we've saved battery. You can see just how slow they are. They don't have any battery left to fight with. And through we go with the DRS, just absolutely running away from him down into the final corner. He's going to be about 6/10 back of us. We'll have enough battery. He'll get a little blast of DRS, but we should have the power and the exit in order to cross the line and grab P9.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So our first points paying position of
A
the
sterling
season.
effort from the team and a magnificent drive to secure victory here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
And that's 2 wins in a row now. It's the start of potentially something special, but they can't get ahead of themselves just yet. It's a long way to go.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves. An event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Yeah, 14 seconds, the margin of victory for Max Verstappen. Perez in fourth, so not a bad result for him, but Nico, bottom of the pile. We did have the fastest lap taken off of us at the end, but Leclerc and Perez now tied in the championship. We move up to 11th with our first points and move Haas out of the scoreless column up to P6 in the Constructors' Championship. So we had a good result in Saudi Arabia, moves us ahead of our teammate in the teammate rivalry. So that should help us out when it comes to negotiations perhaps later on. Let's take a look at some of our other improvements. Experience rating going up. Racecraft takes a decent jump. Awareness, of course. And the pace stat moves its way up as well. So we should have an overall rating increase to 67. Starting to inch our way towards that 70 goal that we had at the start of the year. So still a 45-55 split in R&D knowledge, but we will continue to improve as the season goes on. We did fail a manufacturing challenge, I think through my sheer ignorance, or was this the one that it was bugged? Yeah, 3 laps using 2 different engine components, which I know I did because I changed out most of my engine. So that one I think was a little goofy, but that's fine. It's only 40 points in the negative. No worries at all in that regard. But we are working our way towards our specialists getting their first level ups, and we'll start to get some of the benefits from them. But a decent race weekend overall, our first points of the season, and we will be looking forward to... I don't remember what track. We'll find out in a minute. But let's take a look at the specialists and what goals we will select for next week. 2 sessions without damaging car, probably a good choice. Wind tunnel engineer, probably not going to set the fastest lap in any session, but I think we can overtake 5 cars, possibly. It's the more reasonable one, I think. And the last is either incur no more than 3 penalties or 45 seconds in 4th gear. Easy enough. We'll do that in practice, no problem. And then strategy analyst, which is complete. We'd run FP 1, 2, quali, and the race, so we'll easily get that one done. So that's all sorted. Let's take a look at R&D. We have 439 points available to us. But it looks like everything is currently in development. Nothing really for us to make a move on. So let's advance some time. And we already have our first failure. So cockpit weight reduction does not make the cut for Australia. That's what's coming up next. And same with the aero upgrades. So no upgrades have hit for this week, which is pretty heartbreaking.
Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
So let's head back in and let's get some of these redevelopments started. Try and get them before the next race, which is the Japanese Grand Prix. In fact, Hulkenberg has the same thought to reorder that chassis development as well. So hopefully we can get those improvements on the car, maybe a big upgrade package coming into Japan the following race. But we'll see. It seems so far 2 failures out of 2 picked up doesn't seem particularly encouraging. Hopefully it won't impact our performance too much in Albert Park. Well, who knows what the AI is going to improve on. But thank you all for joining me. This will be more of the standard format of these. Let me know in the comments if you think the Alex Jakes intros to quali and the race are valuable, or if I should start cutting through and trimming those out. I'm a little 50-50 on those myself. So let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.